to get to Blackboard, you can go to Resources, and you can either go to Current Students or you can go to Faculty and Staff. Both of those have a menu item of Blackboard on them. For Faculty and Staff, it's right here. And your username is the same username that you use to get into your email, obviously without the @fitchburgstate.edu. And your password is the same password you use to get into your email. And when you log in, a list of all of your available courses will be right here. If you, any course that you're teaching already has a Blackboard shell created for you, and you can click onto that class, and though you may not have done anything with the class, there will be a shell there waiting for you to start migrating your course materials into. So I'm going to look at a course, a blank and empty shell. So this course is one that is for a future date, and it has been automatically created for me. It is by default empty. If you can click through and see that there's nothing to see in this class. This is the default template. It gives you a home page, a syllabus, faculty information, course documents, a link to the discussion board, a place for assignments, a library research guide, which will pop up a window that takes you to the library, tools, and help. So your students are probably going to just be looking for your syllabus, your faculty information so that they know how to contact you, and then whether you're going to use the discussion boards or upload course documents. And this is the way that you will see your course. You can go ahead and leave it just like this and just start uploading documents. Say into the course documents, you can go right over here to build content. You can create an item, and it's as simple as copying and pasting text into this item here. So if I just type test in there so you can see what the heading looks like, and then course content goes here. I could copy and paste that in. I can use any of these tools here to format if I want bold or if I want to do headings. I could do those here. And when I come down to click submit, whatever my title was for that course content displays, and this is what my students would see. I'm going to go ahead and delete this. In Blackboard, you'll see that there's usually a little drop-down kind of arrow at the end of words. That's an indicator that you have a menu, and you can do several things on the menu. And I'm just going to delete. Back over here on the main menu, the only thing that I really recommend you changing or adding is a tool for announcements. I like to have an announcement page that, as I make weekly announcements to the students, it will immediately email out and notify them that there is a new announcement, or you can set the announcement to email to the students. It's a nice way to just click, type your message, hit submit, and all of your students get notified. It's a good way to do a weekly update. It's a good way to remind your students that an assignment is coming due, or to ask them to log in and answer a specific question, those kinds of things. If you decide to add an announcements page, you can click this little plus right here, and then you'll want to go down to Tool, because announcements are a tool, and you would just type in announcement right here. And you want to make sure that the type of tool is an announcement. You have this whole list to choose from, but you would do announcements, and you would click this available to users button. And when I submit that, you'll see that it put the announcements right here at the bottom, and I can click and drag that up. I would usually click and drag it up to the top, and all I have to do now is click right here to create an announcement, and as soon as I do that, I'll do my subject here. If I decide to send this out to students in an email, this subject is the subject of the email. This is where I would text whatever or type whatever text I'd like to. You can upload pictures if you want. You can embed links in here. It is completely up to you, just like a regular email message. And then when you come down here, you can see that if I check this box, send a copy of the announcement immediately, then as soon as I click the submit button here, all of my students would get a notification of that announcement. The announcement would go right to their email. So I do like to make an announcements page like that. If you do make the announcements page, you might also want to then set it as the home page. It's not something you need to do. If you don't do it, when students load into your class, they load into this page right here. And this page does show any recent announcements. If you want to change the landing page so that when they come in, they go to a different page, I am not going to show you that right this second because I think a lot of you are probably not that interested in that. But I will drop a link into the video notes so that if you want to see how to do that, you can watch a video that shows you exactly how to do that. A couple other things about the menu over here. Sometimes you might see a little box here. If the box looks blank like this, it's just got a little dotted line around a blank box like the course documents and the assignments. That indicates that there is no content loaded into those areas. If you see a box that has a line across it, that means that this link is hidden from students. And if I were to go to my student view, which is over here, this thing that looks like a little eye, if I click on that, it loads me into a student view, and I can look over here and see that that syllabus section is not available. So I'm going to exit this preview and continue. And now I can see the syllabus over here because I'm back into my edit view as a teacher. So if I go to this drop-down arrow right here at the end of the word syllabus and show link, you'll see that the box disappears that had the line across it, and now that syllabus link would be available to view by students. If I go back into student preview mode, it's not showing because it's blank, it's empty. If it had content in it, let me just show you that. If it had content in it, then it would be viewable by the students. So if I click on the word syllabus, build content, go to item, and drop my syllabus in, or because of where we are in the term, maybe you want to do a modified syllabus and tell them what the expectations are for the remaining weeks, your contact information and due dates and things like that. That would definitely be something I'm sure that your students would appreciate. And now you can see the syllabus link is there now that it's not empty. So again, I'm going to exit the student preview. This is this top check should be for delete the preview user and all data. It sounds kind of scary, but that's what you want to do, is continue through that. That just means that if you go in there as a student and preview what students will see, then when you click through anything that you do in there, when you exit it, it won't save any of the changes that you tried to do when you were a student. And that's a good thing. Another thing that I recommend that you add to this menu is a My Grade link. So if you don't add the My Grades link here, your students will need to go to Tools, and when the list of tools pops up, there's a My Grade link right here, and they can see, if they click on that, then any assignments you put into this class, they will be able to see right here. They'll be able to see any feedback you give them and those assignments and the points that they've received. Some of our students don't know how to find that, and they get a little lost. So I do like to ask people to put the tool here and go down from the tools and select My Grades and just call it Grades or My Grades so they know what they're looking for, and available to users, and submit that, and now they can check their grades right there on the main menu. So to create an assignment in Blackboard, I'm going to click on my Assignments tab, and the assignments are actually under Assessments, and it's the third down, which is an assignment. And to create just a very basic assignment, I might call it Week 10 Paper. Then I'm going to type in any of my instructions. And when I scroll down, I can upload a PDF, an Excel spreadsheet. If there's any kind of file that you would like to upload that goes with this assignment, you can do that here. I can give it a due date. I can go down to the points possible and say that however many points it's worth. If you want to embed a rubric, you can do that right here. If I say to add a rubric, it's going to look on my computer for a rubric that I can then upload into this. You do not need to do this if you have an associated rubric in your syllabus, or if you want to upload a syllabus to your course documents area, just so your students have access to one of those, then you don't need to embed it right here. Your submission details, if you click on this is going to let you decide if this is just a student working individually. Is it a group submission? Number of attempts. Do you want them to only be able to upload the assignment one time? Multiple times? You have to decide how many times they can upload that assignment. And then which one do you want to score for the gradebook? The last graded, the highest, the lowest. That's up to you. You would set those. You don't have to set any of these. If you just leave it by default and you don't even click in here, then it would default to an individual submission that students could only upload one time. Make assignment available, that's checked by default. You can limit the availability. You do not need to get fancy with saying that an assignment is only available after a certain date and before a certain date. But if you want to, you can certainly do that right here by display after and display until, and then moving those dates. So now if I were to click right on top of this Week 10 paper, it's a student. This is what the students would see. The due date, the points possible, any instructions that I wrote for this assignment, and then they can write their assignment in Microsoft Word or a Google Doc, and then they can upload it right here. If they do click this Write Submission, it gives them a box that they could type some text into. We don't generally recommend that they would copy and paste an entire 2 or 3 page paper in there. Usually we're going to ask them to browse their computer and upload a document from their computer. The student can add any comments to you that they want to here, and then when they submit that assignment, you'll now see an assignment that you can go and grade. And I'll show you the grade book in just a minute. So I'm going to get out of the student preview again. Okay, so I put in this sample assignment, a reflection paper, and this is what your requirements might look like that you typed in. And now that that assignment is there, if I were to go to the student preview again, and now it's as if I'm a student and I'm going to my assignments tab. I click right here on reflection paper. It lets me go in and write my submission or upload. And if I write a little submission here, so that would be my paper, my reflection paper, or I would have, browsed my computer and found a file to upload. This is what you will see as an instructor when you want to go and see what somebody has done, what they've submitted, so that you can grade it. Their assignment will show up right here, and if you click over here, for the grading, it will drop down and let you give that student a grade. Now, I am in here looking at it as a student right now, so it's not going to let me do that. But you would be able to click in this box and type in the number of points. You would be able to give some comments. And then as a student, I could go over here to my grades after you'd saved your comment, and I would see the reflection paper assignment, the day that I submitted my assignment, and then right now it's needs grading because it hasn't been graded, but once you grade it, the points that I received would be here, and any comments that you made would show up in a little blue text bubble here, and if they click that, it will pop out and they can see those, the input, the feedback that you've given them. So if I go ahead and exit the student preview and continue, that should get rid of that fake assignment that I just entered as if I were a student. Now that we have an assignment created for this reflection paper, if I scroll down to the Grade Center and click on Full Grade Center, you will see that there are no users enrolled in this class yet. But over here there is a reflection paper. So when I create my assignments, it automatically puts a column in the Grade Center and has the total points possible that I've assigned it. And when I go to the paper the screen that I just showed you and drop points or do a grade in there, that would then populate here with the list of my students and over here with the grades. And I can't really show you that because anything I have set up in the gradebook would be a FERPA violation if I showed it to you. So there is a Blackboard video on how to use the Grade Center, and I will link to that Grade Center video because the Blackboard company put something together that you can take a look at if you want to see how to really dig into that Grade Center. The next thing I wanted to cover briefly is the discussion thread. We do highly recommend that you use discussions for your student-to-student engagement in online classes. What we really find helpful is if I go to create a forum, the first thing that I usually do is I need help or I have a question, and then post your questions here. Please don't be shy. Help your peers if possible. And if I submit that, now we have this discussion thread that's right here at the top. I have a question. Post your questions here. Please don't be shy. Help your peers if possible. And you can put in there, ask me questions here, answer each other's questions if you can. If you drop a question here, I'll respond to you within 24 to 48 to 72 hours. That's up to you. It's nice if you do let them know, though, how long it will take you to get back to them if they drop a question into the discussion board. It also helps you manage your email so that you don't have one-off questions in your email. If it's a general question, they can just drop it right in here and maybe help each other out. So you have options when you're a faculty member and you're creating a discussion forum. One thing that you might be able to do, depending on what kind of a topic, what kind of a question you're asking, I'm just going to say question week 11. I would give it a better title than that in the real world. But for this example, read chapter 2 and discuss. This isn't going to be a great example because I'm just doing it on the fly here, but discuss the main takeaway. Okay, so I don't want my students coming in here, reading what everyone else wrote, getting their idea from them, and then doing their discussion post. So after I've decided what the discussion question is going to be, I can make it available. I can do my date restrictions just like I can do on an assignment. And then when I come down here, I can click this button right here. Participant must create a thread in order to view other threads in this forum. If I click that button, then the student has to post their own thoughts before they can see what any of their peers have posted. I like that one when you think that they might, read their peers' questions to sort of bypass reading some of the chapter material. So the standard view, when a student goes in under the standard view here, they would be able to see what everyone else had posted before they post it. You can put a discussion thread out there and not require grading, or you can click the grade discussion forum and say how many points you're going to give for that discussion question. And then you can do a due date. This show participants in need grading status after every. A lot of us will say that an initial post has to be made by Wednesday or Thursday of the week, and then we ask that the students go back and participate in the discussion by posting, on replying to some of their peers by Sunday night. If you decide to do that, you can set this so that the student won't show up in the needs grading until they've posted 2 or 3 responses. So that you're not then going in and trying to get a jump on your grading and accidentally grading someone who's not done participating yet. You don't have to do that, but that is one of the functions that's available. You can give a due date if you'd like. Again, you can embed a rubric. You don't need to, but for further help on embedding a rubric, you can contact me in Digital Learning, or I can put a link on the resources page. I'm just making myself a note to do that. And you can decide whether after somebody has uploaded a discussion post, whether they can go back and edit that discussion post. Usually by default this is turned off, and when a student puts a discussion out there it stays unless you decide to delete it. And then when I submit this, now we've got 2 threads out here. We have our I have a question thread, and we have our question for week 11. These, you'll notice over here, have an up-down arrow. I can click and rearrange the order that my questions are in the discussion forum. And if I don't like this question that I've just asked, I can click on it and click delete, and it will delete the entire thread. So it wants to know if I want to delete the grade column that has been automatically created in the grading center for me. I'm just going to go ahead and cancel this, and I'll go back and clean that up later. But now you'll see that in my full grade center, I should have a reflection paper and question for week 11. So that's nice that it automatically does that for you. So your discussions, we have some links out in the resources page that can give you some ideas on some of the kinds of discussion questions that might get the deeper thinking going, that might get student engagement with the content. And we have some of those examples for you out where you found this video. One last thing to take a look at is under faculty information. If you choose to put your contact information here, you would go to create contact, and it will give you a fillable form to put in your name, your email address. If you want to put in your work phone number, which could be, I don't know, your cell phone if you feel like sharing that with students, or your office phone, and then let them know that your office phone will generate an email of the voicemail to you. You could give virtual office hours with a link to your own personal Google Meet if you choose to do that, or you can share those kinds of things on a as-needed basis. But this would be a helpful place for you to put that kind of information so that your students know with one click how to contact you. Again, I highly recommend redundancy in these courses so that students can always find relatively easily the information that they need. So if you put an updated syllabus in there tell them what your contact information is and what your expected turnaround time for answers is. If you put it under faculty information, again, let them know right up front what those expectations are so that they're on the same page with you and they can find the information they need without really hunting for it. I want to show you a couple more things about actually building your course content here. If I go to build content and I do item, let's say I'm building a class about how to build a class, and so I want to give you discussion board tips. So when I click down in here, I can type out, like I said earlier, I can copy and paste. I have a document up on my other window. Let me grab that and copy and paste some of this in. Okay, this is one of the problems with Blackboard when you copy and paste. So what came in was kind of just a jumble. What I tried to copy and paste looked like this. So just some things to think about. It might, when I highlight that and bring it in, it might end up looking like this. So there's not a great way, once it's in Blackboard, to get it to go back to the way that it was before. It's really just at that point on you to go through it and do whatever you need to do with bold or underlined or italics or so forth. Sometimes it will come in nicely depending on the source document, and you can copy and paste in text and have it look nicer than this. If you copy and paste and it is a jumbled mess like this and not nearly as nice as the source document, I would save that source document as a PDF, or I would save the source document into Word and upload the document. So from here, I would just scroll down to browse my computer and then find that document and upload it, rather than dealing with this big mess of text. If you're just copying and pasting directly from another document and you're okay with it looking like this with, you know, a couple little modifications you can make, let me show you what that looks like. It's just like that. So if that's okay with you, if your course content, if your text can go up there and look like that, then by all means copy and paste in. Otherwise, like I said, use a PDF or use a Word document, something that your students can open and see formatted nicely. The one problem with PDFs is that they don't do well with screen readers. And so if you do have a student with an accommodation, the PDF is not going to work for you, and we'll need to come up with a different solution for that. Now, if I want to drop an image in, I just go to Build Content and down to Image. And that's just going to want to know where on my hard drive I want to find that image. And I am going to call this discussion. The knowledge of how to spell is apparently optional here. Tips. And then when I am going to go browse my computer and take a look at my desktop where I know that I dropped a file. Now, for alt text, again, if you have somebody that's using a screen reader, you're going to want to put an alt text in here and do a good description of what this image is for this purpose, and then a long description if this is a graph or a chart and you have somebody that uses a screen reader, you're going to want to give a good definition in this long description of exactly what the information is that they would see in that graph or that chart. If it's just a picture of the redwoods and you're talking about a biome, you can just say picture of redwood trees. If your picture is too big, if it's going to be giant on the screen, you can resize it. And I can show you how to do that in just a second. But let me go through and just hit the submit button and show you what this image would look like. So this is the image as it came from my hard drive, and you'll see that you can scroll down and the whole image is there. If that were way too big and I needed to go through and fix it, I would go back to this drop down, I would edit, and then I could come down here. So I would scroll down here, here's the discussion question, tips. I would scroll down here to the dimensions and hit custom, and then I start playing with the pixels. So a typical picture that on a desktop screen is going to look like a 3x5 or a wallet size picture. You might want to start with something around 400 by 440. Now I know that that's not going to work perfectly on this because I have a big long rectangle, but when I do 400 by 440 and submit it, you'll see how it's going to resize that picture. So it's longer than the 440 on the length, but you can see that the 400 across from here to here has made the picture much smaller. So again, if this were just a photo of a dog, a photo of a lake, a photo, something that's just a picture, you might resize it down. If it was this, and I wanted my students to be able to read it, then I'm not going to resize that down. Okay, so other than that, you might want to do quizzes or tests. Again, Blackboard has a great video on that, and I'm going to link that so that when you're ready to do your quiz, you can just watch the quiz video and sit down and do that quiz. And then any other content that you see here, you can embed, images, audio, if you have a podcast. If you want to directly link to a website, you can embed those. And it's all exactly the way that I've showed you, either with a document, an image, or that link that we just did for the video. Anything that I haven't covered in this video, I guarantee you there is a video created by Blackboard that covers the content you need to know. If there's any questions you have about how to do something, please let me know. You can fill out a help desk ticket, and those help desk tickets will be dispersed out to a group of us who are helping with Blackboard support and pedagogy and content creation, and we are here to help you. You're not alone in this. There are plenty of us here that are going to do our best to get you up and running. And remember, you don't have to build out 5 weeks of classes in 3 days. We can do this week by week. We're here to support you throughout it. You let us know what you need, and we're going to do everything we can to support you in that. There is one more very, very important thing that I did not show you that I need to. Right up here in this corner, you see this little red lock. That means that your course is closed down and unavailable to students. If you want your students to be able to go online and see this, you need to click that unlock button and make it available to students. So as soon as you're ready with those uploads and your content is ready to go, you go ahead and unlock your course and let students get in there. One more thing I should mention, under courses, every student that is enrolled here has access to, sorry for the fast scrolling, this course right here. It's called the Student Introductory Course, and every single student at Fitchburg State already has this on their Blackboard. If they go into this Student Introductory Course, that's a place for the students to learn the Blackboard interface. We have resources here. We have some basics on how to use Blackboard, whether there's audio files or videos, external links, and what those look like. So if your students are a little nervous about the Blackboard interface, go ahead and send them out here. We have some online learning success tips for the students. And like I said, every single student at Fitchburg State automatically has access to this course.